Welcome, Endeavour. My name is Etienne, and this is a series to introduce people to the faces behind trans GoFundMes. It's a common thing in our community that people will use crowdfunding to try and access care for transition, and I wanted to make a series that put faces to those crowdfunding stories. That put stories to the faces, that put faces to the stories. What do you recall as your sort of earliest memories of the notion of being trans? Like, what would you say were your first sort of inklings as to your own
Uh,
transness?
I actually got, this was the first question I actually got asked by the doctor, actually. Funny enough. I was about 6.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I kind of was like, I used to run around naked quite a lot with my top off.
Yeah.
I thought I was a boy.
Yeah.
And obviously, as you get a little bit older, and you kind of get told that, oh, you're not, and secondary school comes along, and then puberty happens, and then you think, oh, this isn't quite right. Yeah, and then you kind of realise that you kind of got to carry on living as a woman, as it were, or a young girl. But yeah, I had an inkling from a very early age, but it wasn't till I was about 34 when it kind of clicked that I was trans, because I just didn't know what I'd been feeling all my life was because I was trans.
So it was like an information thing, like the knowledge of the existence of trans that set that apart, that made that distinction for you, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, it was really funny. You must have heard of Piers Morgan, right?
Yes. Unfortunately,
Yes. So
yes.
at the time, unfortunately, at the time he was talking about gender fluid,
Right.
and I remember saying to my boyfriend, "Oh, what is that?"
Mm-hmm.
And he actually kind of explained it to me, and then I kind of started to investigate it then, and then I was like, oh, and then I obviously came across transgender, and was seeing all these YouTubers. I mean, Bertie being one of them. Actually, his book kind of sealed the deal for me when I read it. But yeah, just because obviously I work in a school, and being called Miss was just horrific for me, but I didn't know why it was horrific all the time, why I felt so upset whenever I heard it. And it was only from like lots and lots of things, from when Piers Morgan said all this stuff, that I realised. And then I was like, it's not like a light bulb moment, like, oh my God, it was like a gradual thing. And then it was kind of this, oh no, this is really awful. How am I going to do this? I didn't know what my future was going to be, that sort of thing. It was frightening, actually. So yeah, I can always relate to everyone else when they're scared of coming out, etc. Yeah, so Piers Morgan.
Piers
Thanks,
Morgan helped
mate.
you come out. Piers Morgan's
Oh God,
transphobia
can't
helped
believe
you
it.
come out. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I mean, hey,
yeah,
there you go. There
basically,
you go.
yeah.
The
Yeah,
unintended consequences of his bigotry.
yeah, yeah. Thanks, mate.
I can totally relate to that sense of like the penny dropping in slow motion too, because it's like these like layers, isn't it? At first, it's kind of like huzzah, and then
Yeah,
it's kind of like, oh fuck. It's like
yeah,
not so simple as just
yeah,
wow,
definitely.
now I get to be free. It's like, oh my god, my world is
Yeah,
collapsing.
yeah,
I'm gonna die. Everything is horrible. Yeah, you have to. But yeah, I don't know about you, but then like I think trans people on YouTube sort of really helped alleviate that for me. Like looking at people and
yeah,
being able to see how that they were able to carry on existing. That there was a life after transition.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, there was a few. I mean, obviously I mentioned Bertie. I mean, his book for me was, I always recommend it to people that are sort of like questioning themselves, because I remember reading some of the stuff he'd written about himself, and although there's like, I think it's about over 10 years between us, but I'd literally be reading it and going, oh my God. And I actually started writing notes down the side just for myself, which is probably weird.
What?
And then, yeah, Aidan Dow. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like Aidan Dowling is one of my favorite YouTubers actually that I still watch even now.
He's really positive, isn't he?
Especially his shaving one.
He has such a like
Oh,
positivity
he's
about him.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, one of the other transgender guys I saw was Buck Angel. He was one of the first. Bit iffy. Yeah, but you know, it was nice to see an older trans person actually.
That's really interesting. You know, I've always had this sense that you know, like that one thing that we really sort of hunger for in the queer community is, you know, like the continuance of the continuum of ages, you know, because we end up being sort of segregated off into groups by age, and that makes it can give you a lot of anxiety about the future when you can't refer to people who are older and understand what life could be like in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I was, because I'm, you know,
through
I'm
Buck Angel
38.
from this. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously I was 35 at the time, and they all were a lot younger, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh gosh, you know, that it's a completely different scenario for me
yeah,
compared to these youngsters.
yeah, totally.
You
Watching
know,
trans videos of guys
you
who are like
know,
18 years old, and you're like,
because
that's not
a lot
me.
of yeah, and they're living at home or something, and you know, or you know, and older trans people, you know, they've either been married or ball game. So
Yeah,
I was a bit like, oh, there's no one out here to sort of, you know, relate to or
yeah,
see, you know. So that's
I,
why I did my own YouTube. I don't know if
yeah.
I'm any help.
Yeah, no, actually, I feel exactly the same way. Like the reason that I post videos at all is because I feel like I represent this demographic that's sort of unaddressed, which is like sort of a bit older and coming out. And I think that
Yeah,
maybe a lot of us from our generation were really kind of deeply closeted by our parents who sort of stomped it out because they didn't have the sort of understanding that parents today seem to
yeah,
have, which I mean, I absolutely live for it. I don't know about you, but when I see younger people coming out and when I see that they have supportive parents, like
yeah,
I well up in the best possible way. Like it's just like the most moving thing to me.
yeah, yeah. It's lovely. It's lovely. Unfortunately, you do see the other side of that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I have to say, like, obviously coming out as an adult's a bit different.
Mm.
And obviously when I told my dad, well, I told my mum first, and she didn't take it very well. It was really awful, actually. Because I came out on Facebook as well because my doctor wanted us to be like socially out before having that first appointment.
Wow.
Because that's what they like to do in this country, unfortunately. So obviously I put on Facebook, and my mother was furious. I mean, she'd already known, but it was because of her embarrassment and what her friends were going to say. And I hear this a lot with other trans people where their parents kind of have this reaction, but it's because of their embarrassment and their transphobia. So,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So, and then when I rang my dad, because he lives in Ireland, I kind of went, because I obviously had this bad experience of telling a few people. I literally was like, and I don't care what you say and all this stuff. And
Oh.
I just like, I'm quite liberal, and you know, I'm
Oh.
fine with it. And you know, so he did get back to me with it, because I think maybe he spoke to his wife. He's very even more liberal than he is, and obviously, you know, was absolutely fine about it. And obviously after I'd done this Facebook post, he did say, why didn't you say anything? You know, was he's kind of obviously in that mindset of children are going to change their mind, is it a phase thing? So that's why he was like 17.
Oh.
But obviously it's kind of a little bit late then though, isn't it? You know, we know that puberty's already started, and you know,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. But I kind of like said to my dad, I just didn't know, because it wasn't spoken about like it is now.
I wanted to ask you then, okay, so I think we sort of started to touch on it a little bit. You know, we've talked about coming out a little bit, but how would you say that your life has changed since you started to transition?
It's amazing, fantastic. I'm happiest I've ever been in my life. I mean, I don't know how best to describe it. I mean, like, I hated myself. This is the thing. I was literally thinking about this earlier in terms of kind of, you know, weight loss and stuff, because I know there was a lot of thing about it on the internet about, you know, being fat phobic and all that sort of stuff. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter, but I was kind of like, you know, for me, I've always been unhappy with how I looked, always, and actually hated myself. And I didn't care what I ate, and I didn't care, you know, I just didn't care about my appearance, like loathed myself, to be quite honest. And obviously, you know, I've started to lose weight, and I don't know, you know, actually care about myself now. And I was just like, I was just thinking about this earlier, about how much weight I've lost, but it's because I'm happier and just feel so much. It's really weird, because I had like cancer a few years back.
Wow.
And I was really overweight, and I still didn't learn from that, the fact that I had cancer, that I didn't make the effort to lose weight, get healthy, you know, that sort of thing. I mean, do you know Old Trafford? I'm a Man United fan. And there's these stairs you have to walk up in one part of the stadium, and I couldn't walk up. Like, I was knackered walking up the stairs. Like, I was out of breath, and there was these kids running past me, and I was embarrassed by this, but I still, again, didn't do anything about it. But it was only since when, like, it's like, oh, I'm trans, I know I'm a guy, and I'm going to do something about this now, because now I know. You know, it's like everything clicked into place. It's so bizarre. Like, my sexuality, you know, my just everything just clicked into place when I realised I was trans. And I'm just so much happier, and I like what I see. And, you know, with the testosterone, I had all the sort of fat went to my stomach, which upset me, like massively upset me, because I already was quite big on the hips and stuff, but and obviously it was a dysphoric thing as well. And so, like, when it moved onto my stomach, because that's where guys have it, I got quite upset by this. And then I remember I was at the Christmas party, and I was bending over, and someone took a photograph of my backside.
Oh God.
So I was just, I thought that was the triggering photo for me. That was it, you know. And I was just unhappy with how I was looking. I couldn't get in my shirts anymore, so I thought, it's lockdown, I'm going to do something about this. And I started working out, and I actually enjoy it. Well, not when I'm doing it, obviously, but afterwards. And now I'm seeing the person that I've always kind of dreamed about, if you get what I mean. Do you get what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, you know, and I'm healthy. I eat really well now, which is I didn't think I would think eating well would mean boring food.
No.
But it's not. And, you know, I have the occasional treat at a Nando's on the weekends, you know. I feel really good. So
absolutely.
I'm very happy. That's the answer to your question.
Excellent. That's wonderful. Anyway, I'm so happy for you that you've found yourself, and that this is bringing you joy. You know, I find that very relatable myself, and obviously it's, you know, it's one of the trans experiences that's just so beautiful. I think you can really see it in people's before and after pictures, you know, and you see people's two photos side by side, and you see this like, even now I can't look at pictures of myself from before without seeing this like incredible, like, heavy depression in all those photos, like in my eyes, that I never perceived before. Like, I couldn't even see it before. And now when I look at them side by side, I'm like, really sad person, really happy person. Like, that's what stands out to me. So I can really relate to that.
It's the eyes.
Yeah, it's in the eyes.
The eyes.
Yeah.
Because I was smiling in the before, which is funny.
But not the eyes.
And now I don't smile in the now photos.
Yeah, you're too busy looking sexy.
Thank you very much. But I just I'm just like happier. It's
Yeah.
really weird.
From
It's such a
within,
weird.
from within, it's like it comes out, doesn't it, through the eyes? Like you just see it, and it's
Yeah.
a really
It's so
amazing
weird.
thing. I love looking at pictures of trans people. You know, I love seeing that,
Yeah.
being like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Like I just see trans people as being so beautiful because I just see this thing. I wonder if you could explain for the people watching what top surgery is.
Um, yeah. So I probably, well, I'm 100% likely to be having double incision, or
Okay.
DI,
Okay.
which is like, so they cut underneath the chesticles, and then they do a cut in the areola,
Okay.
and then they pull out the breast tissue.
So just for the folks at
Basic
home, for anyone who
summary
doesn't know, the
I'm giving
areola
there.
is the nipple.
Yeah, and then
So just,
obviously flatten it.
and then flatten it. They take out the tissue and flatten it.
Yes. So I'll be having nipple grafts.
Right. So they can preserve your
And
nipple
you
to
can
one
use
side.
sensitivity in these. Some of the nerves do come back. Who I'm going with, I actually did look up, and apparently I won't get that back. But it's one of the compromises, I suppose, isn't it?
Okay. So loss of nipple sensitivity, and that's a common thing with double incision, is it?
I know someone whose sensitivity came back, and sometimes you can feel it when it's coming back. The nerves can be quite painful. So it really just depends, I think, on the person and how it's been done. I thought that wasn't too bothered if I do lose nipple sensation, but and a friend of mine said, "Oh, mine came back in a kind of weird way," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I did look up with the surgeon who I'm going with, and it did say nipple sensation is lost.
Right. You think
so until I actually speak to him directly,
right?
You're
not sure.
He might say it might come, or it might, I don't know specifically with him. Could be.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, why does that hurt?
Okay, so now you said double incision. Are there other types of top surgery that trans guys get?
There's periola or peri. So that's, you've got to have kind of like a cup A, really small chest to have that, and they go in for the areola.
Okay,
but, so there's a really good diagram in Alex Bertie's book about it, how the different scarring and stuff.
Is that what?
Yeah, because it doesn't leave scarring.
Right. Those guys who have no scars, the lucky buggers who have double
yeah, because it's kind of like in the nipple bit. Yeah.
So
I mean, it looks fantastic.
Yeah, totally. Do you happen to know whether or not that has a different effect on the sensitivity of the nipples, or is it just sort of the same deal, like may or may not regain sensitivity?
I don't know. I reckon that they're probably all good, but I don't know. Well, I haven't really investigated it because I know I'm not going to be having that surgery.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm the same. I haven't looked into it because I know that's not what I get, and I don't want to make myself jealous too much. Maybe one day I'll have a chance to interview someone who's getting the peri, and then I'll be able to ask some questions about that. I wanted to ask you about a term, that's really common in our community. That it's an umbrella term, and it covers a lot of different things that are joined together. And that term is dysphoria. And so I wanted to ask you about, just to start off with, what is dysphoria, and then how it affects you, if it affects you.
A lot of argument to be trans. I saw that a lot, and but I have dysphoria myself, and I have different levels of it, and some trans people don't have dysphoria, and that's absolutely fine. I mean, I can't relate to that because I've only ever had it. Right. And it is always like a massive argument. Have you ever seen them in the groups and stuff? Like, it can get quite feisty.
I try and stay away from the infighting.
Yeah,
I want to stay friends with people. And like, I think that we work against ourselves when we start to like be fractious with one another. Like, there are enough people who are out to get us that it doesn't make sense to be at each other's necks. That's my feeling on that.
Totally.
I want to ask about the top dysphoria, about this particular
Yeah,
surgery, and what you hope that will
yeah.
alleviate.
It's really weird. So, like, um, I have chest hair, but I'm sort of pleased about it, but I'm also not pleased about it because it's on chesticles. It's really weird to me. Like, when I dye my beard, because I dye my beard, everybody, in the bath, I have the mirror tilted up so that I
Right.
can't see,
So
obviously,
you
my chest when I'm
so you
doing
won't
it.
have to look at them.
I usually avoid, yeah. So I usually avoid the mirror. I've got like a long length mirror, and the only time, because I do this quite often, I do it every day. I do it every day. Like literally, I'll just have my boxers on, and I will flatten my chest and go, "Oh yeah, this looks really good.
Yeah, yeah,
This is how it's meant to look.
yeah,
This looks perfect, you know."
yeah,
And I do that. I do that every day. Like I'm going to be shocked when it's happened. I'm going to be like, "Wow,
yeah.
yeah."
Yeah, I mean, I get so much sort of contact joy for when guys post that they're going for their top surgery or that they've just had their top surgery. I get like this incredible sense of like being so happy for them, just thinking like, oh my God, that sounds like the most amazing thing
Yeah.
in the world.
I was talking about it to a friend of mine, a cis woman, and she said, she said, why are you so worried about it? I was like, well, even though I really hate them and I want them to go, there's still part of me that's going to be like lopped off.
Yeah.
Well, they're not lopped off, but you know, they're
It's
going
a
to
bit,
be like
is it because of
removed.
the
It's weird
violence
because
of the
it's
removal?
invasive, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, it's invasive, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you know, I've not had, besides having like wisdom teeth out and stuff and been out for that, I've never had surgery before. So
Right.
I am quite like nervous about it. But I think there'd be something wrong with me if I wasn't
Totally.
nervous.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty major, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
maybe you can talk to people about the recovery uh,
yeah,
process as well. How long does it take to recover?
yeah. So it can vary between each person, I suppose. But I was told that I wasn't. I'm not allowed to exercise for 7 weeks,
Right.
which is going to be like really difficult because
Yeah.
I'm really into it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, you got to be really careful about like stretch. You know, you can't literally pick up anything for
Yeah.
the first, couple of weeks. And they're saying about you're not allowed to drive. Got to work for at least a minimum of 2 weeks. So because obviously to minimize the scars, you've got to
Yeah.
be like not stretching or anything like that that could sort of
Yeah.
put strain on it, really. So
Right.
yeah, I'll be numb anyway. I've been told you'll be numb.
Yeah. Yes. It is. It's daunting, isn't it? It can. It's the recovery period seems daunting to me. Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I think in a lot of ways, like I'm like the thought of it, the thought of like the violence of someone taking a knife to your flesh and cutting a part of you away is like one part of the fear,
yeah.
and then another part of the fear is like the fact that you can fuck it all up in recovery, basically.
Yes,
It's quite
yes,
daunting.
yes. Yeah, yeah. I'm literally not moving.
So what would you say that this surgery means to you? So like on the balance of things, the fear of the actual surgery, the fear of the recovery
Hmm.
process, you still, like you're smiling and you still got this fund me that you've been working hard towards achieving. So it seems to me that like on the balance of things that this is something that you definitely want, right? So I want to
Yeah,
ask you
yeah.
what it means to you,
Freedom. Be able to walk around like I did when I was that 6-year-old with my shirt off. And not have to go like this as I'm walking through the house.
Yeah.
Or like when I go to the swimming pool, I can like I don't care about the scars, to be honest. I'll just be like, yes, just walking along the pool,
I earned
just in
these.
my trunks. And
Yeah,
I
nice.
just do that.
That's amazing.
Freedom.
Freedom. So you heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
You can help Endeavour reach freedom. What a good feeling that is. Just get some coffee money out of your pocket and help Endeavour reach freedom. In Britain, you've got the National Health Service, you got the NHS, and you know they provide universal care. So why is it that you have chosen to go private? Maybe you can explain why.
Because the waiting times are years and years. It's very underfunded and understaffed, especially the transgender area, gender specialist area. I was already, when I signed up, because I have applied, been referred to the NHS, and that was in July 2018. And well, it's been over 2 years now, and they said I'd be having my first appointment. Obviously, I know with COVID, that's, sort of thing, it would be delayed anyway. So I did contact them, and they said I had at least another year to wait, which is just, so it's now 3-year wait for London on the NHS, which is just crazy, absolutely crazy. And that's just like a first appointment. So then you have to wait another year to then it'll be surgery, so it'll just be years. And also I think with going private, in a way, I freed up that first appointment for someone who isn't in the privileged position of being able to go private.
Right.
So they're technically going to be taking that position, because by the time I get seen by the NHS, I'll be wanting phalloplasty. Mm-hmm. So, I'll be wanting to see a senior clinician.
Do you think that when you do get seen by the NHS, that you'll be able to sort of be streamlined onto the senior clinician? You can do it better than I can. To hopefully get your phalloplasty covered by the NHS?
So my doctor, who I was talking to get the referral for top surgery, he told me to get my GP to write to the clinic to inform them that obviously it'd be pointless seeing a junior, because obviously I don't need to see a junior, because I'm nearly near the end of my transition, so it'd just be a wasted appointment.
Right.
So he's told me to obviously get my GP to write to the clinic to speed it up, as it were, because he was horrified when I told him. The really funny thing is the doctors that work in private actually work for the NHS as well at the clinics.
Yeah.
So I could end up actually seeing them at the clinics. They all work for the NHS.
Right. Yeah, I think that there's a link between gender care and Charing Cross, isn't there? It's like the same.
Yeah, they all pretty much work there. Right. Yeah, but
Yes.
Speed it up.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know this same story in the Southwest where I live. The waiting times are even longer. I won't bore you, but yes, this is the reason that I have a GoFundMe as well. So that leads me neatly into the next question, which is, the costs are great. And so you've set up this GoFundMe to fund your surgery. So what does that mean to you? Like if you could speak to the people who have donated to your fund, who will donate to your fund, what would you say to those people?
Well, I always, it's so weird, because I honestly didn't think I'd get like £100, like when I set it up. So, and initially when I did set up the fund, it was to guess my name, because I changed my name. And so it was kind of like friends and work colleagues and family that were donating only. And once I got to a certain like £500, then I'd give them another clue, and then they try and guess my name. And then I said when I got to £2,000, I would obviously tell them my name.
Right.
So I did that, and obviously I did get to £2,000. And then I think at all, but I obviously started to make more friends on Twitter and Instagram and that sort of thing. And I don't think my YouTube is particularly popular, but obviously people take an interest in it. And so like then I started to get strangers donating, and I was just like, wow, this is amazing. I don't even know this person, and that's what gets me actually, because I'm like, you don't know me at all, and you've donated £100 or £10 or £5, whatever. I find it really like shocking, but in a nice way. I find it quite overwhelming, because I just it's so appreciative, Fox, by and a lot of trans people have donated, because obviously they've empathy, isn't it, and they know what it's like, and and I literally cannot wait, right, to be able to actually do the same for other people, to like donate to their funds, because obviously I can't do that at the moment, but once everything's paid for and stuff, then I can do that for other people, and I literally can't wait to do that. It's just because everybody's so kind. I just just complete strangers I've never met have just like donated. I'm just like, wow.
And it's sort of an interesting position to be in,
crazy
too, right? Because we're like where we're asking people for money for this thing. It's not like a frivolous thing in the least. It's just to live the most basic, just to live normal lives. Like all we're really asking for is just to be able to live normal lives, isn't it? Like you just asking to be able to be who you are. But it costs, but it has this prohibitive price tag attached to it, which is just a difficult situation to be in. But the kindness of strangers, like Streetcar Named Desire, people can surprise you and overwhelm you with their generosity, can't they? And it obviously means a lot.
Do you know well, do you know Shikari, the band?
No.
Like I'm quite a big fan of them, and the lead singer donated.
Oh my god, that's wonderful. Oh my god, that must have been blown you away.
Yeah, but it was really weird exchange, because obviously I've always kind of had it on my pinned tweets sometimes, and I think he was getting a bit of stick on Twitter because he was following someone that was, I think, maybe anti-trans, but he was saying that if I don't follow these people, then I can't stick up for trans people or that sort of thing. And I kind of agree. I said to this person who was having a go at him that lots of people, for instance, follow Trump, don't they, right? But they don't necessarily like him, but it's like saying, well, you're being an idiot, mate, or that sort of thing. And that is what I kind of said to the person. And then I kind of saw a couple of days later, he'd obviously been on my profile and donated.
That's amazing.
And I don't know if it was because what I, it's just, that was so, I was so shocked because I'm such a big fan. So, so thanks, Rao. I haven't seen him like in person to meet him, unfortunately. So, that was really kind of him. Yeah, so I've had some absolute strange, bizarre donations like that,
and it's always a lovely surprise, isn't it? Whenever you go and you see that someone has donated, I'm sure that feels really good.
Yeah.
And if you want to, you can thank everyone here. We're happy to convey the message for you. Thank
you, everyone. I was like, do I do a video? Do I do a video literally listing off everybody and thanking them? Do I do that? I mean, I don't know, because some people don't necessarily want, to be like publicly thanked. So I'm always a bit, aware of, sort of bringing attention to them in case they don't wish to be. You know what I mean? So I'm always a bit like, oh, did they? But I think that if they've logged in and it is their name, then they're happy with that, because otherwise you could say you're anonymous, can't you? So, well, yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh, I can't thank this person. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, well, it's been really great chatting to you about all this. I'm going to ask you to stick around while I just stop this recording.
Okay.
Thanks to everyone for tuning in. This is episode 1 in the Fund Me series.